Hey, welcome to another great episode of Three Conservative Gimps, where we give you factual, opinions. Factual opinions? I don't know, but factual, data and all kinds of neat stuff for you to make an informed decision. So, what we give you, what all the other media won't because we tell the truth here. So we got a good show today. So let's bring in my guests all the way from the blue state of New York. Let's welcome the drinking Charles. There, he just finished. Okay.
That doesn't
Welcome,
sound too
welcome.
good, Art.
Good to see you.
Hey, Art.
How you doing there?
We bring you opinions supported by data and data that tempers opinions. It's very Zen sort of synergy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's right. Yep. We are the Roseanne Barr of conservatism. So let's get this show going. Hey, let's welcome the dulcet tones all the way from Muskogee, Oklahoma. It is Lloyd Mendenhall.
Hey, Lloyd.
Oh, hey, what he said. Yeah. I can't top comments like that. I just plugging along, staying here, trying to keep up with you two. Oh, so how y'all doing?
I'm only drinking seltzer water, folks. That's
Wow.
I'm not imbibing.
I'm drinking coffee, so what's left?
I don't have anything here, but I do have a bottle of Tin Cup waiting for me to pick up. Maybe I'll go get it after the show. I don't know. Maybe. So, anyway, how's the weather in your neck of the woods, Lloyd? Is it hot?
It has been hot. It's actually yesterday and the day before were kind of nice days, but the middle of the week was 100+ degrees and no AC in the van, and it was a rough one. But I got that fixed. It turned out it didn't cost as much as they thought it was going to. They only had to replace the O-rings, not the whole hose system. So that saved me $100. And the guy pulls up to pick me up so I can go back and pay for it. And I open up the door, and it's like a blast from a refrigerator coming at me. Like, he says, "Yeah, we got it down to 59 degrees." I said, "That's good. That'll work."
There you go.
I run it at 70, and sometimes it's too cold. But boy, I tell you what, it was nice. But yeah, it's been hot here. Yesterday was not a bad day. Had some family down to visit. But we saw them a couple weeks ago at the reunion. They came down and picked up one of the extra electric scooters we have around here because they don't take them back. If they buy you a new one, they just buy you a new one. The insurance does, or the VA does, and you're stuck getting rid of the old one. So we're kind of scooter poor around here. So I said, "Hey, anybody need one?" "Yeah, we do." So okay, they came down and got it yesterday. So
wow, that's great. That's great.
Great start.
About you, Charles? Is it hot up in your neck of the woods?
Actually, it's finally being rather nice here. Not too humid, not too hot. It's around 80 or so, but that's not too hot, and the humidity is bearable.
Good. Here it is sunny and hot. We are in the mid to upper 90s, and I think we're supposed to get close to 99 tomorrow. But there is a little bit of a breeze, so it's not so bad. All right, so let's get going. So El Presidente Biden says inflation is under control. How is that?
Yeah. It's like every time I turn around, something, costs are going up on everything, and it's just like all of a sudden our gas has jumped up to $3.29, $3.39 a gallon now, whereas it's been running under $3 a gallon. It started jumping the first of last week, and it's jumped by about 35 cents in the last week and a half. altogether. And it's just like, and there's that, and it's like every one of my, well, all the streaming services, they're starting to ratchet everything up. I mean, everything across the board has gone up by $1 to $2. You know,
Right.
You go. I mean, a gallon of milk is actually more expensive than a gallon of gas, but you don't get as much. You know, you don't last as long drinking gas as you do the milk. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't recommend you. You know, don't try to save money by drinking gas because it just won't work. But yeah, I mean, it's just like everything. Although I did notice eggs are starting to come back down, so
Right. Mm-hmm.
that was nice to see. And they're finally get. The biggest problem is they didn't have a variety of sizes because of all that bird flu and whatever it was that killed off, you know, and all that stuff. You only got one size of egg, and that was, you know, they all said large, but some of them were about this big around, and some of them were about that big around, you know. But they all said large. I mean, it didn't matter where you went, but now they're starting to come out with the bigger size. You know, a large is now a large, and it's, you know, $1.99, I think, for a dozen eggs now or
Oh,
something.
that's not bad. It was
That's
up
not
over
bad, no.
$3.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
almost $4 here, and it started
Mhm.
coming back down, and
Yep.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so there's a little things like that. But as far as the inflation being under control, he's at least we know who the cocaine belonged to.
Yeah.
'Cause
Mm-hmm.
he obviously has been using it.
Yep. And you know, everything has been up. Gas has been up over 40% compared to 26 months ago during the the first few months of the of this administration, and everything's been up between 10 and 40%. It's like, how do you possibly say inflation's under control? Oh, and not only that, he also declared that he's cut the deficit. When in factuality, the deficit is going to balloon by $2 trillion this year.
Well, it's the whole situation is just sad. I mean, every time you the guy is he's not even, you know, he's not even a good puppet, because at least with a puppet, you know, the person operating the strings usually has some intelligence and dexterity about them, or the person that's operating the mouth if they're a ventriloquist dummy. But this guy, whoever his operator's on, they're as crazy as he is. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's the sad part about it. And it seems like, I don't know. I look at things on the news, and then I just get to where I just shake my head. I can't possibly, you know, can't believe uh, how ridiculous some of these people are. I mean, some of the silliness that they come up with. I mean, we had some weird fads in the '70s. You know, okay, the afros, the big bell bottom pants, the high
Pet
heel.
rock.
This, yeah, pet rock. Well, that was fun. You know, pet rock was harmless. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
this whole gender transition thing, this whole
Yeah.
all of this stuff, all of it is just, you know, it's on the verge of insanity. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
really is. I just shake my head every day and think, how can they get any worse? You know?
Yeah. And you know what? That explains why.
Lloyd, you gotta stop asking that question, because somebody's gonna
It gets,
answer it.
yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. I thought as soon as that came out of my mouth, I thought, oh boy, that I don't want to know how it can get any worse, because
Yeah.
every day seems to get worse. So it's like I got to quit
Yep.
asking the question. You're right, Charles.
That's true.
And that Uncle Bill is right. Pet rocks can be used for self protection.
Yeah. Well, unless you sue the manufacturer.
Yeah. There is that.
And, you know, Washington State just passed a law where you could sue the gun manufacturer, which is.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
why can't we sue the car manufacturer? You know?
well, to an extent, we did do that at one time. Like when some of the, you know, that's how the seatbelt laws got set
Right.
up, was from lawsuits.
Mhm.
That's how the airbags became.
Uh-huh.
And then when those failed, and they started going off on their own. Well, they sued again to get them fixed. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, suing the gun manufacturer. But that's, the best they're going to be able to do is either quit selling guns, which I'm totally opposed to, or uh, put biometric triggers,
Mm-hmm.
Which
and
again, that's
it's still,
those could easily be hacked.
yep, yep. Yeah, we see it all the time in the movies where, they knock a guy out, hold his eyeball up to the eye scanner, or they take they take
Chop
and
his
feel the
finger
fingerprint.
off.
Yeah, chop his finger off. Yeah,
Dun, dun,
there's crazy.
dun,
If
dun, dun,
yeah,
dun,
if they can do that, if they can do it in the movies, a lot of that can be replicated in real life. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
may take a few years, but something that simple. You're right, Charles. They can, so
Or
suing
if
gun
they're
manufacturers.
into facial recognition, somebody will come up with a
Oh,
mask that you could pull on. That.
they've already, yeah, they've done that, and they can do that. But the really sad thing is there's going to be an AI hack for that. I mean, look at the videos out now of Elvis Presley singing modern songs. I mean, and it's done well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Look at that clip of Leonard Nimoy playing Spock from the Star Trek at the trailer at the end of Generations, that they've regenerated all that using AI. They're going to find a way, like you said, Charles. They'll be able to hack all that stuff, and it's
Right.
just
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're right, Uncle Bill. We have biometric. It's called "Don't be a psychotic dumbass." You're right. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Oklahoma made it in the news this last, I think it was Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Somebody in one of the small towns up north of here, somebody set off some fireworks in the front yard, and a cop whips around, goes over there, and to check out what's going on. They'd been to this house before, and they realized when they got there that there was a person barricaded in the house holding a gun and hostages. And so they called for backup, and they sat there with no communication with this person for 3 hours. They finally went inside and found out the woman had killed her 9-month-old baby, her 6-month-old boy, and her 11-year-old girl, and herself. Thing
Oh.
is they had already, she was supposed to have supervised visits, and she approached the court and said, "Could I please have unsupervised visits?" She got it, and she killed all three of them, which they'd already taken her visitation rights away because of this happening. Her trying to kill her kids. Back in January, 7 months ago, and there again, there's a court system. They're going to blame it on the gun, but the problem is the court system let that woman have,
Right.
that
Mm-hmm.
judge. He's got to live with that. And it's just this is what our society is, and we've got to start looking at it that way. The gun
Right.
didn't do anything. The woman, the
Right.
psychotic
Mm-hmm.
nutcase did. And
Mm-hmm.
here the courts knew this was a problem, and yet they
Yeah.
let her have unsupervised visits, and the first thing she did was kill the kids and herself. Like first visit like that. Like,
That's sad. That is just really sad.
and that's what's wrong with the society is we make, it makes the headlines. It makes life cheap. We have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on a rant today. Sorry, guys. I'll let
That's
you guys.
okay.
I'll let you guys go back to what we were talking about. And that's the economy, which
Well,
sucks.
and we've got this thing with instant uh media here, and it just seems like all this stuff. Well, none of this stuff happened when we were kids. Well, how do we know? It probably did, and we just didn't know about it because it wasn't reported in the mass media. So that's why
Yeah,
you hear these dumbasses saying, "Well, there's a school shooting every week." Well,
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm laughing at Don there, and then yeah, he says in my defense, I made a sex joke before Lloyd started talking about dead babies. That's true,
Oh,
and that's fine. I mean, You're right. The mass media is, everybody's. It's all about what can we do to the media wants to have, the bigger the headline, the better it is.
Mm-hmm.
The
It
general
leads, it
population
leads.
thinks,
I was just
yeah,
about to say that.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and the general population is all about, what can we do? I mean, we're on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Bring back the insane asylums. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with that.
Yep.
Uh, a lot of our problems started back, like here in Oklahoma. They did away with all the homes for the mentally challenged, and because of a federal lawsuit that was brought by them, and
Yeah.
yes, they needed to be. There's a lot of them that need to be under better supervision. If
Mm-hmm.
that was the problem, they had poor supervision. They released these people into society. Most of them didn't have the coping mechanisms or the abilities to even function. So instead, what they did is they hired people to babysit them or mind them. And
Mm-hmm.
it was a it's a bad situation that was created into a worse situation.
Mm-hmm.
And welcome Steve Knowles to the chat.
Hey,
But
Steve.
yeah, I'm restreaming this on Facebook and YouTube. Uh,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I meant it to go out on Twitter, and I hit Facebook automatically. So,
Mm-hmm.
but
And also, you got copycats because of the social media and the mass media, and it's creating these copycats, and
yeah,
that's why there are some conservative talk show hosts that will not mention the name of the person that committed the notorious act that they uh, achieved
that's
or
right.
created.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
And
glad
if,
to hear that they're
and
doing
if
that.
mass media would stop doing that, I bet a lot of people would, hey, how come nobody's paying attention to me? I killed all these people, and I didn't get nothing. No notoriety or anything.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and
mm-hmm.
that's the thing. I we've had because we've it seems like in the last 6 months here we've had a lot more of that kind of stuff going on than what
Mm-hmm.
we just had one just very similar to what's going on happened this weekend. We had one about 3 months ago, but they're
Mm-hmm.
finally getting to the point where they will not put the name up of the person or the perpetrator, and if they live, they said they won't even unless they're
Yeah.
reaching out to find somebody of interest and they know they need to let the public know. They will not.
Right.
Uh, yeah, Johnny DRC is on my channel watching too. So, uh,
Good.
but yeah, it's getting, and that's what the problem is. I mean, it's just, and plus, God, I hate to sound like an old man, but I am an old man, so I'll say it anyways. It's these damn video games these kids are playing nowadays. In reality, I mean, and hey, I was a gamer hard time, so I understand it. But I also, I over a period of time of watching what it did, I also
Mm-hmm.
realized, yeah, these games are influencing not only mine but Judy's and
Mm-hmm.
several other people. Which I started seeing little, you know, little attitude change, and I thought, nah, we're going to quit playing that particular game because
Mm-hmm.
that, I don't know, does it have something? Is there something written in the code? Who knows? I
Mm-hmm.
don't look at that, but we've cheapened life. I mean, it started with Roe versus Wade. That when that started happening back in
Mm-hmm.
the in back what 50 years ago, yeah, 50 plus years ago. That's when life became cheap. Hey, one night stand, you get pregnant, no problem. You go to a
Yep.
doctor, zip zip, slam
Mm-hmm.
bam, thank you, man. We're all going good.
And you know what? Colorado led the way,
Yeah, yeah,
being the first state to legalize abortion. Yep.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Getting rid of social media? I don't think so. Because that's like putting toothpaste back in the tube. It's too late, you know?
yeah, and we can't say we want somebody to monitor it because who do we put in charge of that? Who do we
Yep.
trust that there's nobody, It's
It's,
it's for lack of a better thing, social media is now the guy standing on the corner holding the sign says the world is ending, or the guy
mm-hmm.
standing up by another statue holding up his Bible saying the world is ending. That's what our social media is now. We don't have those gatherings anymore. We gather
Right.
here,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, that's what So social media, does it need to be open and fair across the board? Absolutely. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Twitter's a good example of what happened, and I'm even seeing a little bit of Twitter went one way and it's coming back, and it's Elon Musk is not the perfect uh, owner because he has
It's
his
never going to
opinions.
be perfect,
No,
but it's better than the alternative of
it is
having
better.
it, censorship and where
Yeah,
different ideas can't be talked about. And that's what
right.
happened with colleges. I mean, back when I did stand up comedy, I used to love doing colleges and college towns because, those kids were great. They were ready for some comedy. Now it's like you can't do comedy because you might say the wrong thing or talk about the wrong themes and get canceled. And that's how sad it is. I mean, there's colleges used to be a place of free ideas and free thought, and now it's not. It's turning into a fascist state.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, college has always led, at least for the last 60 years, has always led the charge. I mean, I go back and I watch videos of stuff. Oh, we've been
Yep.
yeah, there you go. I mean, and that's the way it
Mm-hmm.
used to be done. Be honest with you, that's the way it used to be done. Uh, uh, but we've been watching reruns of the original Hawaii Five O,
Uh-huh.
and of course Jack Lord was liberal,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of showed it. I mean, there was a lot of right and wrong type things. You look at it and you go, okay, that's. But because it was the '70s, it was the hippies. They had all the hippies. They were
Mm-hmm.
definitely anti-drug on there. But they anti-hard drug. The hallucinogenic type stuff, the LSD. They were against that stuff. The pot, they seemed to, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They didn't have, but you could see the stuff that was coming out of San Francisco. Out of Height and Asbury, and uh, uh,
That's
that
hate.
whole, huh? Do
Hate
what?
hash.
Hate it. I
Uh,
okay. I hate. Yeah, I always
yeah.
call it height. I don't
It's
know
like
why.
you
That's the
don't
way I heard it.
pronounce the U in color
Yeah. Okay. All right.
or
Or the R in
valor
Warsh.
or
Or the
warish.
R.
Yeah.
Yeah, the R in Warsh. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you don't. Give me a break. I live in a hillbilly state. Okay.
Well, to go
But
on
anyways,
a slightly
yeah.
different tangent, talking about why do these big cities want to defund the police? And here is my theory. I think it's a big organization going on where they're getting federal funds for all these um social programs, to deal with people with issues. So, what I think is these politicians are getting kickbacks from these uh, parties because they're getting money from the federal government. And if we could cut that federal money off, then, maybe they'll decide, maybe having the police might not be such a bad idea.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah.
Charles? Lloyd?
Go ahead, Charles.
Well, I suppose it's a possibility. It's not one that it's not one
Well
that
said.
I ever entertained until
Couldn't have said it better myself.
What he said.
Getting a little tongue-tied there. We all do
Yes.
that. I mean, that explains why these people, number one, these people, liberals are usually, they're either anti-cop or anti-military. And they see, cops as oppressors because of, of what had happened in the past where there were bad apples that would do some, bad things to minority people. But, I mean, we're beyond that. We're getting better. Are we perfect? No, we're still not perfect. But we're a lot better than we were 20, 30, 40, maybe 50 years ago. A lot of abuse is less and less these days. Because now, I mean, cops can get sued if they, accidentally hurt not a prisoner, but a suspect, injure a suspect. And, I mean, it's gotten crazy where the cops are to the point where, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to take a chance on getting sued. So, yeah, that assault, I'm going to let that slide. Right, Lloyd? Glad you're paying attention there. You're muted.
Well, I muted myself on purpose so that I wouldn't interrupt Charles with his eloquent speech that he just gave, which turned out not to be anything. But I thought I'm going to give Charles. I mute myself, then Charles can say, "You screwed the pooch on that, there, Charles. You didn't follow through." I was, I was looking at Johnny D. Says the reason a lot of the people are going, the thing about he mentioned on mine, they're going after Trump. Yeah, well, after that's true, but I think the left, or the reason they're defunding the police, and maybe this is just my idea, is because they want it to get so chaotic that their liberal governor can declare martial law, and then they have every excuse under the sun to do any atrocities they feel is necessary because it's under martial law. I mean, that's truly the case. The other thing, you talk about the cops. Of course, my son's a police officer, and he's actually we were talking the other day. I'm trying to think when it was. Anyways, we were talking on the phone, and we were discussing some of these younger cops that are coming out of the academies and stuff. It's not that the academies have changed the way they teach. It's the attitude of the generation. They believe, and of course, we were this way too, to an extent, but they believe that only they know what is good for their society or their community that they're being police officers in. We have a situation in a very small town in this neck of the woods in which the chief of police and all of his officers resigned because they were doing things that they felt was appropriate, and the city council about 6 months ago elected a new member to the council who was the retired police chief of that town. He'd been there for 30 years. He knew how the community worked. He was very community aware. And when they started doing some things, he finally stepped up and said, because the rest of the city council was a bunch of old men and housewives. It's a small
Mm.
town. You know,
Right.
and when he stepped in and said, "Nah, I don't think so," then
Mm-hmm.
the current chief, decided to resign, and and if anybody's watching this, I'm probably going to catch hell if they see it on my Facebook, but uh, they decided that they knew better than the city council about how things should be done, so they weren't they if they couldn't have their way, they were going to quit, and they quit.
Uh,
En masse, the whole department quit. And there's more to it than that, but that's the simple thing. And it comes down to these young police officers looked at this new chief and thought, he's doing things right. We can get by with blah, blah, blah. They were doing things, and you can't tell some of these young officers. I've called them cookie cutter cops. We have them. You see them, they all got the short hair, the buzz top, their uniform is, and that, they got, uh, uh, they've got their badge power on. That's their superpower, is their badge, and we've got a lot of that. But that doesn't mean the whole of police society is wrong. It means
mm-hmm.
we've taught our children and grandchildren wrong, and
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean you know, we throw out the police department. You don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, as they say, as
Right.
they used to say in
Mm-hmm.
my days. You know,
Mm-hmm.
And but I think the reason they're defunding the police is so so these liberal governors can declare martial law. I mean, that's
Yep.
just
You may have a point there. Yep.
I think that's probably it, and I've been thinking that for quite a while because when these all these cops quit, one person in the that was in the on the forum talking about it, I said, "Does this mean we're under martial law now?" Oh, what it means is that the county had to step up and start doing the job.
Right.
Of
Mm-hmm.
the police department because it's inside the county, so the county sheriff is responsible for law enforcement, even inside the cities if there's no longer working police department. And that's what happened
Mm-hmm.
at this point. There's more going on, but that's you know, and it comes down to, like I said, martial law. I think that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
yes, we've
here
had some
in
bad cops,
in
but we got. Go
here
ahead.
in
Go ahead.
Denver, Aurora City Mayor Mike Kaufman, former congressman, uh, has decided his cops are no longer going to help the Denver Police Department. You know, uh, because they're fed up with what's going on with Denver. And they don't want to get sued, just like the Denver cops. So he's just saying, no, no, we're not going to do that anymore. So, yep.
Why should Marshall get all the fun? Yeah.
So
Well, you
that's
can't
what's
blame
going.
him.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know.
Yep. And also on the same note, we had the former partner of the Aurora chief of police that was fired several months ago. Well, she's the one that falsely accused one of the city council members of sexual abuse of her young child. Well, that started a big investigation. She got fired. Then she claimed, I have a brain tumor. And she was trying to get sympathy. Turns out that was false. So that opened up another can of worms for the city of Aurora and the county of Arapahoe County. Yeah. So it is just one fun filled thing after another here in Colorado, the blue state of Colorado.
Well, we're a red state, but we are not. Uh, we have our problems too. Like I said, this
Yep.
police department. See, the one
Mm-hmm.
thing I've always been proud of Oklahoma is they have it's called CLEAT. It's the Civilian Law Enforcement uh, Education and Training, and every officer, whether they're a rent a cop, a mall cop, whatever they are, all the way up to police chiefs
Mm-hmm.
have to go through cleat certification, and they go to some of them aren't required. Like the what they call non-commissioned officers, which are the uh, all of your security people. They don't have to go through everything that the commissioned or the regular police department does. But
Mm-hmm.
one of the things they always had to do is they have to do an MMPI, which is a Michigan multiple personality. Anyways, it's a psych test. It's pretty in depth, and they all have to pass it. And if they
Mm-hmm.
don't, but it is, and of course, law enforcement or security has a different one, a little bit different one than what the law enforcement does or commissioned officers. But I think part of the problem now is that's a rather old system, and there are better systems for psychological testing out than the MMPI, and I think this is where we're failing. And there's a lot of states that require it, and I think this is where we're failing now and missing these young attitudes. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
juvenile offenders are also an issue. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Just this week, 15-year-old murdered someone during a carjacking, and another incident, 12 and 14-year-old. So, yeah, and that's it. I mean, it comes down to what have we from our generation, because granted, we're from that hippie generation. We're 70s, we're from you know, we grew up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s,
Yep.
uh, we kind of created these monsters that are out there now. I always say it's our fault because I taught my kids to be a little more open minded and understanding. They taught their kids to be even more open minded and understanding. Now our great grandkids are coming up, and it's gotten that way, and it's sad. That's why we
Yeah.
got
Well,
these
you know
14.
what? They're so open minded that their brains are starting to slip right out of their heads.
I was just about to say that, Art.
Yeah, exactly. That's it right there.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, God bless America is
So
on
going
my
into our
channel.
final topic, the DNC has decided to change the primary calendar. Gee, I wonder why they've done that. Thoughts? Anybody?
I'll let Charles take it. He's always so
Well,
eloquent.
obviously, they're trying to rig the game in their system again somehow. I
Mm-hmm.
just don't know how, right off the top of my head.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to keep RFK Jr. from winning the primary, and they want to keep Joe Biden in because he's so easy to manipulate and control. Where RFK Jr. is a loose cannon, and
He
they're
is. Yeah.
starting to censor him now. And it's just amazing how they were going after, conservatives, those ultra mega extremists. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
it.
is that the white version of Mudball?
No, that was his imitation of Joe Biden.
Ah, okay.
Oh, dear forbid.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, it's
So, and did you see what was that guy's name? Viva Swami? He's ahead of DeSantis now in the poll.
Who?
Oh, he's that
oh yeah, he's
Indian guy.
he's an Indian guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's ahead of DeSantis.
Yep,
I haven't.
he's
I didn't
pulled
look at the
ahead.
news I didn't look at the news this morning. I know that Trump is starting to, these continual attacks and warrants that keep coming out for him. It's starting to have the effect the
Yeah.
liberals want.
Mm-hmm.
And and yeah, but I hadn't seen that, so I didn't really look at the polls today. As a matter of fact, I just about forgot. I mean, I knew I had the show to do, but I almost forgot to come on here.
The guy's name is Vivek Ramaswamy.
Why not?
Yeah. And I've been hearing a lot about him lately. So he's pulled ahead of DeSantis. And
yeah, I agree with Matt. I like
yeah,
I
haven't heard the song. I'll have to take a listen to
you
it.
Need to. It's a good song. It's that their biggest problem is he showed live footage of the all the riots,
right?
And it was filmed in front of the Tennessee, I don't know, in front of the courthouse or or the Capitol building or something. And at one point back in, I don't know, 100 years ago or whatever, 75 years ago, they had a lynching in front of that, And so they're saying he's, supporting lynching of minorities. It's like, no, there's nothing in that song about that.
Yeah, the title of the song is "You Can't Do That." In a
the
small
courthouse
town.
is where, the courthouse is where they did a lynching. That would be like, okay, King, what is it, Tulsa King, with Sylvester Stallone. They shouldn't have filmed it in any of Tulsa because that's where the race riot was at 100 years ago. Oh my God, he's supporting race riots. That's how that thinking works. It's the most ignorant. Did some bad things happen in the past? Hell yeah. Does that mean everything that ever, okay, I stood in front of a courthouse one day and come to find out I'm going to be ostracized by society because 150 years ago, a white guy shot a black guy, What the hell? I have no control over history. And that's the thing with history. If you choose not to understand history, listen to history, you'll never learn. And but to as far as I'm concerned, country CMT can go to the same place that Bud Light.
Right.
CMT pulled his song because of what a name, President Ramaswamy. That just doesn't roll off your tongue real well, does it? Yeah. I mean, not saying that he's probably not a great guy, but it just doesn't have that.
No, not that ring. Not like Bill Clinton or Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Robert or John F. Kennedy. I mean, those were all Lyndon B.
Richard
Johnson,
Milhouse
Nixon. Those names just kind of roll along with. Vivek Ramaswamy just doesn't float my boat, folks. Just not. I'm just.
You know what? That sounds like one of those commercials you hear on late night TV. Hey, come and get your Ramaswamy here. It'll clean your your windows.
And that's sad. But we shouldn't be making fun of his name. I mean, because he's probably a very nice guy and probably more qualified than some of the people that are running, including probably more qualified than the idiot that's in the White House right now. So, of course, an empty bucket would be more qualified than Joe Biden.
But he's still more qualified than the idiot vice president that's part Indian.
Yeah.
Is she no, she's part Jamaican.
Yeah. Well, he's more Indian than what's her name?
Oh, was, Elizabeth Warren.
Warren, yeah. Different Indian, but still. Still, it goes without saying he's definitely more than she was. Or is.
Well, Lloyd, you got high cheekbones.
Yeah, well, I am pure Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Okay.
I've checked the rumor was is there was an Indian grandmother in our family, but as my
Mhm.
brother told me years ago, probably when I was about 17, I was working with him. He says, you know, everybody has a dead Indian grandma somewhere. You know, because there's the old story. Well, it was bad to register, and sign your name as an Indian. It wasn't if you lived in Oklahoma because you got a good chunk. You got 160 acres
Mhm.
and a mule,
Yep.
and Oklahoma's got some really nice country. Plus, turned out they had oil.
Yep. They
There's a
had
lot of
oil
rich.
and
There's a lot of
Indian
rich.
casino.
Well, this was That's why they've got them because this used to be Indian territory. I mean,
Yep.
hell, I live on it. Maybe high cheekbone says work now because I do live on a reservation.
Yep.
I guess
Well,
that makes me.
Lloyd, sometimes we have reservations about
Most everybody does. But yeah. I have reservations about myself on certain days, but but yeah, I mean, Elizabeth Warren having come, she was born here or she was here as a young child, and her family was from Oklahoma, and they probably told the same stories my family told,
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, nobody's been able to find it or prove it. You know, I was told that, on my mother's side, I was told the reason my grandmother was disowned because or my great grandmother was disowned by her family because she married my great grandfather, who was half Indian. It turned out that wasn't the whole case. Turned out he was already married and she was 7 months pregnant when she married him. And this is back in the 1800s.
Oh.
Turned out the old bugger was really prolific because he had 3 wives with a minimum of 9 kids per wife, and he never divorced one of them.
Maybe he was a Mormon.
No, he wasn't. Actually, he was a Baptist circuit preacher. He made the circuit, that's for damn sure.
Yeah.
He sure did.
Yeah, 3 wives and never divorced one of them.
Oh, and a lot of snake oil.
Yeah, that was my great grandfather. Yeah, and apparently my grandfather wasn't too far behind him when it come to the womanizing side of things. He was he was a fantastic grandfather to me. So I don't know. I just know that.
Right.
But anyways, in Oklahoma, there is a preponderance of belief that it. If you live here, you got to have some Native American in your blood. And the truth is no, it's just that's what it was, And I think Elizabeth Warren followed she followed the family Kool-Aid or family BS, and but like I said, hey, my brother used to say, yeah, everybody's got a dead Indian grandma somewhere.
Yep, that's right. And one of them is right here in Colorado, at Grenada, Colorado.
Yeah.
Which is in southeast Colorado. And the Candyman Rick Enstrom's ranch is only a few miles from there.
Well,
up in
my
Bristol,
brother was
Colorado.
There was a he ended up becoming an editor at the Denver Post. He was in the internment camps during at the beginning of World War II, and somehow or another, my mother became friends with them. And I remember going to their house, and they were Japanese Americans, and he ended up becoming a reporter for the Denver Post during the war, and he worked, as he also worked as he was also in the military during the war, became like the code talkers and those that stuff like that. But and of course, after he leaves, not the code talkers; those were the Native Americans, whatever the Japanese soldiers we
that
used.
Would
however,
be Navajo Indians.
It wasn't just Navajo. Navajo was not the only code talkers. There is almost every tribe had. Here in Oklahoma, we had Cherokees that were code talkers.
Oh,
but
did not
the
know
Navajo,
that.
Yeah, the Navajo is the best known, but they're not the only ones. No.
Okay.
Anyways, I digress. So this guy's a Japanese American, and he went over and he worked with the Americans to in different things, and he also was a reporter for the Denver Post and went on to become an editor at the Denver Post. And I never heard him. He never bitched about it because he ended up doing well for himself, as
Right.
many of the Japanese Americans. Yes, it was terrible, but you know, look what happened in Vietnam. We couldn't tell the good guys from the bad guys there. You
Right.
know, and
Right.
had we had a large population of Vietnamese here inside the United States at that time, you couldn't tell the VC from the North Vietnamese, the NVA or the South Vietnamese Army. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't tell the difference. They all, it sounds bad, but they all looked alike because they
Mm-hmm.
all were, they
Mm-hmm.
were all of the
Yeah, I
same.
mean, it doesn't sound. I mean, look at the three of us. I could be a
Yeah,
liberal, and you'd never know.
that's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds sad, but it was a different time, and yet, like uh, it, was it God Bless America that wrote that? Yeah.
Oh, wow. Mark R. White said U.S. women beat Vietnam women 3-0 in World Cup yesterday. Women's
Yeah,
World.
yeah, yeah. But were they? They were from the U.S. Were they real women, or were they the pretend kind who got up and
Yeah.
down? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, yeah.
Did
We
they
used to
did
keep
they wear a
Asians in turn.
cod piece?
Yeah. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but the internment camps was a bad thing,
Yep.
and
Mm-hmm.
but it was the times, we'd never been
Yeah,
attacked like that before, you know,
that's right.
and
Mm-hmm.
you know they're but like he says, they're not out there raising hell, wanting, they took a bad situation,
Yep.
improved themselves in their loyalty to our country, and became far more successful than a lot of the people that
Mm-hmm.
you know
Oh, and they also got reparations as well.
they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's like we got the thing up in Tulsa right now. They're demanding reparations for those. The city of Tulsa paid reparations. That's
Mm-hmm.
they ever for the because of the 100th anniversary that was last year or year before. They've been talking about some of the survivors getting reparations. Well, all the survivors that were 3 and 4 years old when it was, and
Mm-hmm.
there's only like three of them left. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but they did pay reparations to those families, and any families that, like right now, they're trying to unearth the graves of all those that were buried in mass graves, so that they
Mm-hmm.
can do DNA testing if there were other people that needed reparation paid.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, now a lot of the problem goes with the fact that in that part of town, Greenwood District it was called Black Wall Street because they're very successful, and they destroyed it, and it never came back.
Right.
And so that's the type of reparations they've paid. Anyways, I digress again. Hit my mute button.
Uh, well, and Ronnie makes a good point there. Do you guys watch any videos by Victor David Hansen? He's on YouTube, and he makes some really good points. He talks about how Barack Obama uh, changed how people look at minorities. Now minorities are like, well, maybe I could get a piece of that pie. So what he's doing is he's making now being an Indian, being part of a minority is almost like being black, and that they've been oppressed, even though they've done off better than some of the other people. So go check him out. He's got a really good uh, videos. Let me go find that out.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're right, Uncle Bill. The Irish. I mean, look at what they did with the American Railroad. We had the Irish and the Chinese were built those railroads. It was built on the backs of the Irish and the Chinese. Uh, so and there was a lot of they died from malnutrition. You're right. There's a lot of places Irish need not apply. You know, I can say, I can't even say that. Hell, I got, I'm like I said, I'm Anglo-Saxon all the way back to at least till in England it goes all the way back to where the Vikings came in. So, you know, that's. But hey, I got high cheekbones, so me and Elizabeth Warren must be in that same group.
Yeah, Victor Davis Hanson, you can find him on Hillsdale College, Fox Business, what other, Hoover Institution, and
You're right, Mark.
The Telegraph. I mean, he's all over the place. Go check him out.
Make sure you put a link in the description.
Yeah, I'll put one of the.
Yeah, I'm of that unfortunate. I mean, my wife, she's Irish and Scottish, and we can trace her ancestry back. But me, I can't claim anything. I'm waiting for old fat white guy day to come around or something. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'll be there to celebrate it when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
To answer Ronnie's question, Ronnie, yeah, there's Arts Mainstream, and then Lloyd is restreaming it.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I should have.
Okay.
Yes, it is. It's Three Conservative Gimps is the name of the channel. I should have put that in the description, but I hurried up and popped that up there. But yeah, so you can anybody who's watching it on my channel can watch it on watch Three Conservative Gimps.
Right.
And
I put a link into one of his videos. So go check that out and just do a word search, his name, on YouTube. You'll find a whole bunch of, and because I've, subscribed to his channel, that I've been watching a lot of his stuff. He talks about how the left hates the middle class. And you know what? That'll be another topic for another time on this channel.
yeah.
So go check him out. So we've done just a little bit over an hour. I want to thank everybody for coming to the show and some of the new people that have found this channel. Please spread the word. Let's grow this channel. We are very close to 500 subs, and I think I have a lot more watch hours in my fishing channel. We get more people watching this, and because we do a 1 hour show every week, we could build up the watch hours, and in no time we could get this channel monetized, and we could get
and then Art will pay Charles and me.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Then we could get people to oh God, what is that called? Where not subscribe to you, but I'm trying to think of that word where you
Patreon or
where some people pay you to advertise a little bit, say sponsorship. That's what I'm.
Yeah, sponsorship. Yeah. We get some sponsorship.
All right, so everybody have a great day, and we'll all catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Later, everyone.
Good night, folks.